welcome to Literary Hype. I am Stephanie, your Literary Hype woman. Today's author conversation is one that's like 6 years in the making, which is wild that it even got to happen. I first met Danielle Paige at BookCon in 2018 when she was promoting the Dorothy Must Die series. And now, bippity boppity boo, she's got a new series. Wish of the Wicked is the first book in this series, and it is a fairy godmother origin. Hence the wands that she gives out when you go see her at events. Not only is Danielle a New York Times bestselling author, but she's also a TV writer and writes for those soap operas you see on television. And if you don't have time to sit and watch this full interview, don't forget that Literary Hype is a podcast now, so you can take it with you and just listen. We got to talk about all things Wish of the Wicked before our panel at C2E2, so without any further ado, here's my conversation with Danielle Paige. Well, welcome to Literary Hype. This is so exciting to have you on. Been a big fan of you for years, as we just saw.
I'm going to take a picture of that picture.
We've got a picture from back in 2018, the first time we met in person, back when you were talking about the Dorothy Must Die series.
Yes.
Now you've moved on to another fairy tale twist.
Yes.
So for those who haven't seen Wish of the Wicked, give us a little synopsis of what this book is about.
I always wondered, who the fairy godmother was, because she is the catalyst for the most popular, most famous fairy tale. And so I wondered where she came from and what her agency was and why does she show up? And I wanted to create an origin story for her. So that actually has been rattling around in my head for years. And so I thought, what if all the fairy tale characters came from the same sect of witches, all the villains? And so the evil queen and Maleficent and they're all part of the same group. And then they get persecuted and they have to get revenge. And so the fairy godmother is part of the same sect too, and she takes a different path. She wants to stop her sisters and save the world. But first she wants a little revenge too.
The revenge, but also saving the world at the same time, is an interesting balance to try to find. What was it like for you kind of crafting this storyline with both aspects?
I guess I'm always kind of going for saving the world. So the revenge part was just it's kind of like combining Dorothy and Amy together. They're in one person.
Well, hearing that this was a fairy godmother origin story, I was a little surprised at how early we find Cinderella coming into the mix. Talk a little bit about deciding the story arc and how you were going to piece together these classic stories into this.
Well, in this story, Cinderella is not the main character. And I thought, what if the fairy godmother and Cinderella got to be friends? And I thought it'd be a great way to get to know her in a different way. And she's more of she's scrappier than the normal Cinderella, in my opinion. And it was just fun to have that interaction for me.
So with this being a kind of a twist, a retelling of a story that we all know, how much research did you do into the lore of Fairy Godmother and other stories that she's in?
Well, the weird thing is that there's not a lot of Fairy Godmother. There's a lot of Fairy Godmother. I mean, aside from Maleficent, which is a kind of a godmother story, in general, I read every Cinderella story I could, and there's stories where Cinderella is just a flock of birds that get revenge on the stepsisters. There's stories where she's just an old hag. They don't really, there's not a lot there, so I got to make it up.
Which sounds way fun.
Yes.
What is it about retellings? There's such a big trend right now. What is it about retellings that people love so much that you love too, and has you drawn into them and to write them?
I think I've always loved writing for existing characters. There's an ease in that, and these are the characters that we grew up with. My first job was in soap operas, so I wrote for characters that I loved, that I grew up with, and this is another way of doing that. And I think that when I was little, I had all these questions about fairy tales, and I wanted to reshape them in ways that, why did this happen, or why not this? And so I got to grow up and do that.
Some of the fairy godmother's family, some of Farrah's family, are the Fates.
Yes.
What made you decide to mix those into this story?
Well, when I was looking at fairy godmother stories, there's a lot of the idea of someone knowing the future, knowing what is going to happen, was kind of tied in there a little bit. So I thought, well, what if I use the Fates as the model? So and I was really fascinated by the idea of a kind of a female society, and having watched Game of Thrones, which I absolutely love, but I wanted to create a matriarchy. And I thought, why not the Fates as the head of that, and have the women run the world and still make huge, horrible mistakes, but different mistakes than we see in those in patriarchies.
You have a line in there about like she's not like other girls and how it means different things coming from women versus men. And I loved that line because it's so true. Like people try to weaponize women against each other. So I really loved that.
Thank you. That was purposeful.
Pharaoh becomes part of this coterie society thing and has to go through all these surgeries to look like someone else. Kind of talk about where that plot point came from and how you decided to work that through.
Well, since I had the idea about fate and the idea that maybe there are certain things that are portended, I wanted to add something creepy. I wanted to add, like if you can see the future and you saw that this person belonged with this person, what if you just changed your face to look like that person? And I like the idea of having this backup.
So often when you hear of Fairy Godmother, you think of the old white lady in Cinderella, in like the animated movies. What was it like for you to reimagine her as a young Black woman?
This is the first time I've actually said what color a character is. And Dorothy, I think I just said that Amy had pink hair, and I never really talked about it. And I think the conversation in YA was not the same that it is now. So I wrote pretty blindly, and I come from a film TV background where things get cast. You don't necessarily, write a character for a certain group. So I thought it would be this, and actually my editor suggested it. She's like, what if we make the Fairy Godmother African American? And I was like, well, I haven't done that, and but let's do it. It was actually just I think it was just kind of time. I've been writing books for 10 years, and this is the first time I have. I've just written blindly before.
And wands are a big part of this story. If you were to whittle your own wand, what would you put on it?
I guess I would put coming to New York. So New York City, Columbia is where I went to school. I got my first job at a soap opera. I would put starting to write books. So a book, Dorothy's Shoes or something. Comic books, like something from that. Meeting, ring for my fiance. Maybe something, it's like something about my friends, something for my childhood, my family, I love. So it'd be a pretty full wand.
A full wand for a full life?
Yes. What would be on your wand?
Probably books. And I guess something for that guy over there running the camera, my husband. Probably a Thor hammer because he dresses up as Thor sometimes.
I could see it.
Yeah. He makes a good Thor. He's like, what just happened? They're suddenly looking at me and I don't know what's going on. It's great. But yeah, TV, since that's my background, like journalism, maybe an Emmy or two. All the shenanigans.
I don't think we talked about you in TV.
Yeah, I've was in news for 11 years, and now I'm out of news, but still doing TV during the daytime and producing, and then working bookstores at night.
I love that.
But since you touched on your soap opera and your TV writing experience, and like you just went through the writer's strike.
Yes.
So what was it like for you you still have the book career, but you're on strike for your TV career. What was that like for you?
Well, my fiance used to be the Writers Guild president, so we're very strong union folk. I think that strikes are such a cool, you get to see everybody. There's kind of a camaraderie and a sense of coming together, and you want things to be better for the industry. So it's like this weird party of like getting to see everyone but also everyone's out of work, but also you're fighting for something that matters. So you feel closer to your union, you feel closer to other writers. I think it's so important. I think we got a lot of things that we wanted, and some things we still haven't gotten. And there's like the threat of AI. There's so much going on. But at least I feel like we're trying to make things better.
And AI has become kind of a threat in the book world, too, from everything from works being fed to AI to teach it how to write a book and art. What do you see as like the future for books with AI right now?
I think that in some ways books have more protection because you own you own the IP. You're not selling the IP you might option the IP to a studio or something. but it's yours in a way that TV and film is not, because you're selling the product in a way, in a different way. So I think that books have a little bit more protection, but I'm scared for both things, honestly. But I think that readers are so smart that they're never going to want to read the AI book. They're going to want to read the real book.
Art needs soul.
Yes.
So Wish of the Wicked is the first in a series. What can you tell us about book 2 and where you are with the process of that?
It's done, and the cover just got released a couple of weeks ago, and it's very pretty. It's told from 2 points of view, from Pharaoh, who's our fairy godmother, and Bari, who is her ex-best friend in the coven, basically. And you get to see both of their journeys as they're still kind of fighting for what they want. And Pharaoh really, really wants to save Bari from this world and make her better. And she wants all her sisters to make this choice. And Bari really wants Pharaoh to make her choice and join the side of revenge. So it's kind of a tale of sisterhood, but also more revenge.
On social media, you do a lot of giveaways. What is it about the bookish community that makes you want to give them books all the time?
Well, I always I call my book friends and I'm like, you want to give away a book? Because I'm going to give away a book. And I think it's a great way to promote other writers. Like I feel like I've been so lucky to have so much support from the second I got into this community, that I think it's a good way to kind of just, kids like free books, right? Grown-ups like free books. I feel like, so I do one I try to do one every week. I have this amazing assistant, Emily Williams, and she makes a pretty graphic for me every week. And I honestly, if I'm doing an event with somebody, or if I'm talking to someone, do you want to do a giveaway? Tell me if you will promise to mail this book, I will mail one of my books, and I just keep doing it.
We love it. We love free books. You say free book, I run. Literally, I will run for a free book.
So please follow my Instagram.
The link will be in the description or show notes, depending on if you're watching this or listening to it. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I'm also working on another DC Comics project, but I can't announce it yet. But I'm very excited.
I do have Mira.
I loved Mira. It was so much fun writing. It was the first one out of those books, and I loved it.
I may have lost my mind in that press conference at BookCon. Yeah, I was like, there are so many great authors in here. They're all writing my nerd stuff. I just love it.
That was such a crazy thing. Michelle Wells, shout out to her. She was she organized everything. She's so great. And Jim Lee was amazing. So,
well, since this is Literary Hype, the last question we always ask is, what books are you hyped about right now?
What books am I hyped about right now? I am reading To a Darker Shore by Leanne Schwartz. Very excited about that one. It's had a fairy tale-ish with autistic characters, and it's wonderful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk to Literary Hype.
Thank you.
Thanks to Danielle for taking time out of her C2E2 schedule to talk about Wish of the Wicked and Spell of the Sinister coming soon. If you want to get your hands on Wish of the Wicked or pre-order Spell of the Sinister, the links for both of those are down in the description below. So check those out and find Danielle on social media. While you're down that side of the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and share this with your friends. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.